Thank you. Please do sit down. Sorry for the late start. We're just getting a few things sorted out. Anyway, welcome. Welcome to this meeting of full council. I'm Councillor Faye Howard, the Mayor of Swindon. As there are no practice alarms planned, if we do hear the evacuation alarm, we must leave the meeting immediately. Please do follow the officers to the nearest exit, and we will assemble to the outside Wat Tyler West and Clarence House. And obviously we will adjourn the meeting until it's safe to proceed. The Wi-Fi password, for anybody who might need it, is success, goals, welcome, all lowercase and all one word. Please remember to switch off your microphone when you're invited. Well, switch it on when you're invited to speak and switch it off when you've finished. And can I also make sure that you have all your devices on silent, please? Please note that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed via YouTube. And I'd like to thank the members of the public that have joined us in the chamber, or anybody that's watching at home. Welcome. I'm sure members will join me in making sure that we provide the best window on local democracy. It is with sadness, and I know we're all aware, that I report the passing of Mick Bray, former mayor and councillor. Mick was a councillor for 10 years and the ward member for Lydiard and Freshbrook before he retired in 2016. Mick also served as mayor during the 2012-2013 municipal year. And I would request that you'll all stand and join me for a minute's silence as a respect for Mick. Now, you will all be aware that there was a serious explosion at the Groundwell Industrial Estate last night. A major incident was declared, with the fire spreading to neighbouring units, which were swiftly evacuated. 12 fire engines attended the scene, but it's good to hear that there were no casualties have been reported. On behalf of the council, I'd like to thank all of the council's emergency response team who supported the emergency services and stood ready to evacuate residents when necessary. Leader of the Council, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I certainly would. Like many people, I was quite shocked when I saw the photos and the videos that people were posting about the explosion. And I was really concerned straight away by the scale of the explosion. And when I heard today that there were actually people in the building when it exploded and they were able to be evacuated without any casualties, I think we can all say that we were incredibly lucky that we are not sitting here talking about a much more serious incident. I certainly want to pay tribute to the emergency services who responded incredibly quickly, going to a scene where they knew that there'd been a massive explosion, they knew it was on an industrial estate and there was the possibility of further explosions, and they didn't hesitate to get up there and make sure that people were safe. I think we owe them a massive vote of thanks. I'll certainly be writing on behalf of the council to Wiltshire Dorset Fire and Rescue Service, to Wiltshire Police and to the South West Ambulance Trust to pass on our thanks. And I also want to thank the council staff members who work incredibly hard in these situations to make sure that there's a multi-agency response and that the council stand ready to help. And it's a point I've made on social media a few times today. I'll make it again in the chamber. I think we owe a massive thank you to our staff that responded. I know that Claire Deards, for instance, had been in the peer review meetings with me. She'd been in further meetings with the LGA yesterday, and then she just gave up her evening at the drop of a hat because she was the person on call and pulled the best part of an all-nighter to make sure that those people were safe, and if people needed to be evacuated, that the council were there to do it. Dave Jewett was also on call last night and was involved in it, and Sophie Castle, who not only responded to that incident, she also responded to another incident overnight. And I don't think any of you will be surprised to know that they were all back in work this morning, carrying on their days and carrying on with meetings. And it's only recently, following a meeting at 6 o'clock, that I've been able to send Claire Deards home. So I think we all owe her a massive vote of thanks for the effort that they put in. We know that our staff do this on a regular basis. There are always members of the council emergency team on standby, ready to react to these sorts of events. So yeah, a huge thank you to all of the council staff, a huge thank you to the emergency services, and I think hopefully we can get Groundwell back up and running as quickly as possible and make sure that those businesses are back open and working. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Summerlin, would you like to add a few words?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd certainly like to echo the leader's comments about the staff from Swindon Borough Council who were on emergency call. That's an incredible effort on their part. The emergency services, and also the fact that nobody was injured is incredible. I'd also like to pay thanks to the media outlets in terms of if there was responsible broadcasting, news updates, residents were kept up to date, and overall, as I say, we've got a relief that the outcome wasn't of any harm to anybody, but a great thanks for that huge overnight shift, both the emergency services and our own staff, so thank you.
Thank you. So can we just have a show of hands? Is council content to record its thanks? You all are? Brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. So then now we'll begin with agenda item 1, which are apologies for absence.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have received apologies for absence from Councillor Ray Ballman, Councillor Reppy Begum, Councillor Ian Edwards, Councillor Marianne Lecoit-Grinny, Councillor Barbara Parry, Councillor Kevin Parry, Councillor Adora Sheikh and Councillor Sean Wilson.
Thank you. Any further apologies from the floor? I think we've got everybody else here. Thank you. I'll ask the clerk to note those apologies, please. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is back to you again, communications. If you could report any, please.
Thank you. I have a number of communications to report. So on the 21st of July, I received a letter from the Department for Education regarding SEND and high needs funding. On the 24th of July, I received a letter from the Right Honourable Lisa Nandy, the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, regarding the Civil Society Covenant. On the 30th of July, I received a letter from Alex Marsh in the Department of Education on mainstream free school projects in Swindon in response to my letter to him on the same subject. On the 31st of July, I received a letter from Sarah Shrimpton of MHCLG on residential PEEPS policy and grant funding. On the 2nd of September, I received a letter from Alex Norris MP of MHCLG on the Local Regeneration Fund. On the 3rd of September, I received a letter from the Prime Minister on the Best Start in Life programme. On the 5th of September, I received guidance from MHCLG on the Royal Mourning Protocol for the Duchess of Kent. On the 12th of September, I received a letter from John Hawkins of the Home Office on resettlement grant monitoring. On the 12th of September, I received a letter from the Right Honourable Steve Reid, MP, on his ministerial priorities as the new Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government. And on the 12th of September, I received a letter from Tom Hayhoe of the Treasury on pandemic fraud recovery initiatives.
I hate to contradict the Chief Exec in public, but I think you've missed one, Chief Exec. Because at 6:01 this evening, we received an email, the pair of us, from Jamie Cowling, who was announcing that the government have just given £20 million to Walcott, in the same way that they gave £20 million to Penn Hill. I would hate that to go unremarked. It's always nice to see the Labour government giving us some money. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Been out of the office until 6:30.
Thank you. Moving on to the next agenda item then, which is minutes of the previous meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder to agree the minutes of the meeting that we held on the 24th of July 25 and are on pages 11 to 26 of your agenda pack?
Happy to move, Madam Mayor.
I'll second, please, Madam Mayor. Brilliant. So I put it that the minutes of the meeting of the council held on the 24th of July 25 be approved as a true record. Please show if you're in favour. Excellent, thank you. I declare the vote carried. Moving on then, declarations of interest. Councillors should declare any known interest in any matter to be considered in line with the new Code of Conduct implemented from the 1st of September. You should also make a declaration should it become apparent during the meeting that you have an interest in the matters to be discussed. We've all got the new helpful flowcharts here. Are there any declarations? Okay, Councillor Davies.
Just to declare an interest in the Wyvern Theatre motion, because I'm appearing at the Wyvern Theatre in the middle of October in Avita with the Mayoress's daughter.
It's going to be a great show. Councillor Butcher.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to declare an interest in, I think it's 8B mentions my employer.
Yes.
Less glamorous than Councillor Davies. I'm an allotment holder, so that applies to motion D, is it? But it's not a local authority owned site.
Councillor Gutterper.
Madam Mayor, I'm a trustee of Swindon Hindu Temple, which is close to Wyvern House, so yeah.
Councillor Lodge, I think you indicated? No, you didn't. Any? Okay. Councillor Llewellyn.
I'm also an allotment holder.
Please do holler at the time then, yeah. Brilliant, thank you. So then we're on to public question time. Now we do have a maximum of 15 minutes for this, and if we run out of time, any questions that are yet to be asked will we receive written responses following the meeting. The responses given either verbally or at the meeting or in writing will be published on the Council's website in due course. Can I please remind the members of the public that questions should be clear, relevant and concise. Any supplementary questions asked for following responses provided by a Cabinet member should be to clarify the responses provided and not to introduce any new business. Public question time is not an opportunity to make speeches or statements, and this will make sure that everybody gets the chance to ask their question. Questions cannot deal with confidential, personal or other information which the law permits the Council to deal with in private, nor should it relate to any specific planning application. First of all, we'll consider the written submissions. And Mr. Redgewell, I understand you've submitted 4 questions. A written response has been provided for you. Do you have a supplementary question for the Cabinet member on the Flixbus at Fleming Way?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. The problem is, well, I hope it's going to move to Fleming Way, because although Flixbus, which I believe in this case is Euro coaches, say they can pick me up there, the difficulty is that when it's parked outside the Regent Circus, there are other buses there, so it can't get onto the side of the road to be able to get my wheelchair lift on, and that is the conflict that's there. So if it's possible to move it sooner rather than later to the excellent new bus station, which I'm very pleased to see is one of the best in South West England, I'll be very grateful.
Thank you very much, Mr. Redgewell. Yeah, so our officers are talking to the coach companies. It is something that we're looking at trying to introduce them. I would say that the original design for the what was the bus boulevard back in 2019, it was specifically excluded coach companies at the time, and I think if I was the Cabinet member at that time as well, I probably would have agreed with that design. But I think there is scope for us to look to see if we can start incorporating them in, but we want to make sure we run it for 6 months first and ensure that introducing other buses don't actually mess up the scheduled services that are currently running out of there. So we want to do it in a controlled way.
Thank you. So my second question, I suppose, one of the omissions that passenger groups and passengers and residents in Wiltshire and Gloucestershire in particular have asked is when the travel centre is going to open, because that's a real focus for bus travel in Swindon. It provides a hub for passengers to ask questions, find out timetables, produce an excellent timetable.
Thank you. I think we'll take the question, otherwise
So
we'll have time for everybody else.
do we have a time
Yeah,
scale? That's the
fine.
point I'm asking, Mayor. Thank you.
Well, that really depends on the third party as well, so there's going to be negotiations going on with that. I wouldn't like to give a time when there's a third party involved in that, but it is being worked on currently by officers. And as soon as we get any update, we can let you know. You've got direct contact to those officers as well, so
Thank you.
Coach parking?
Yes. I mean, Swindon's on the up, I think. I'll be honest. The town looks like it's on the up. And we get more and more coaches coming to the town we might have not done in 2019, but we are now. So I suppose the question is the council now going to work with Western Gateway, the Transport Board, and Heart of England Transport Economic Heartlands to see if we can come up with a coach policy for Swindon to when tourist coaches and other coaches come there? And just to make the point about the drop-off on Princess Way, without a proper wheelchair accessible platform there, the shelter, that is pretty difficult for me to get on and off, I must be honest.
We've got a very small team at the moment that works in that department, and their focus is more on the scheduled bus services and how we can use the BSIP money to improve the infrastructure in the town. But we are going to be having those conversations with coach companies, so they will be ongoing.
Thank you.
And finally, on improvements to bus and coach.
Yeah, I'm really speaking on behalf of residents here, and residents both in Gloucestershire and in Wiltshire and in Swindon. Western Gateway Transport Board, which is the board that Wiltshire and the rest of the South West belong to, but also working with the Heart of England, Economic Heartland, trying to develop a coach strategy with some money from central government. And we wondered, and they've targeted the 51 bus, which is Swindon going to Gloucester and Cheltenham and Cirencester, and the other bus service going towards Salisbury. I noticed there was a motion at Salisbury Council the other night. Would Swindon Council care to just become involved in that discussion? Nobody's expecting you to pay for all of it, but maybe there's some BSIP cooperation and discussion that could happen to improve that transport corridor north-south.
Okay, we'll take that question. Thank you.
I don't think we could use the BSIP money for that, but we're always in conversations. I'm part of the English Economic Heartland, so if there are any discussions that go on through that forum, then we'll be part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So the next member of the public is Mr. Marco Di Pinto. Please can I invite you to move to the microphone, and it helps if you speak about 6 inches away from it. I understand you've submitted 4 questions, and they've also been published on the council's website. Do you have a supplementary regarding the blocked road gullies?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks to the Cabinet member for his earlier answers. With regards to the road drainage in Lower Stratton, will the Cabinet member please pledge to keep me updated on the progress of the road drainage investigations in Lower Stratton?
Thank you.
Well, probably what I would ask is that if you can do that through your ward councillors, would be the better way of doing that. So if you can report that through ward councillors, then we'll go through the proper channels that way. They'll also be able to put a case onto our system, give you a proper reference number for it, and then we've got an audit trail, if you like, as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary question regarding road sweeping and weed spraying?
Yes, please, Madam Mayor. Could the Cabinet member please clarify how frequently weed spraying will be carried out across the borough, and what specific type of treatment is planned? Thank you.
So this is the first time we've used this company that we've given the contract to. So we'll basically be seeing what the results are and assessing it. It is a chemical treatment, but it's a drop treatment, not a spray. So it's not putting a spray up into the atmosphere. It's actually it's directed. It uses an infrared method to actually see where the weeds are and drop it very specifically in the right place. And then that should have an effect in 3 to 4 weeks. And then we're going to be going around and then clearing up after. But this is the first time we've run this contract. And I want to assess it before I can say whether we're going to continue with that first. Okay.
Thank you. And any supplementary on lane markings at Crown Inn mini roundabout?
Thank you for addressing this matter. As this concerns public safety, will the Cabinet member please pledge to keep me informed about the course of action that he intends to take to ensure resident safety?
So when we took over the administration of the council, one of of all the problem areas we had, one of them was also line markings. Sorry, this was line markings, wasn't it? Lane markings. I might have the wrong question here, sorry. Oh, it is, yes. So line markings.
The Crown Inn roundabout.
Yeah. So what we've done this year is we've managed to bolster up our very slim resources with a term contractor to try and catch up. I think we were about 18 months behind when we came into administration on all line markings. and it's going to take us a while now to catch up. We've had some extra funding in from central government this year, which has allowed us to put this extra resource in to try and resolve the situation. It's being done at a breakneck speed at the moment, and yeah, essentially, hopefully, we will catch up. I think actually, sorry, this particular question you wanted a change, didn't you, in the way that the
yes, getting to lane sign
right.
the crowning roundabout.
So for this particular issue, again, what I would say, could you put that through a ward councillor so that they can raise a case for you, and then we've got an audit trail, and make sure you get kept informed, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is that the final supplementary question, or you have one on road markings and resurfacing?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
I think it touched on that, that's what I thought. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you very much.
the wrong way round, sorry.
Brilliant, thank you. So then we have a written submission from Leanne Stevenson regarding post 16 transport and trees, and written response has been provided. Is there any, is Leanne Stevenson here? Sorry? No. Not here. Brilliant. Okay. Well, not brilliant, because it would have been lovely to see her, but never mind. Okay. So, do we have any? Hang on. I'm just checking. Not anybody else. No. Okay. So then, yes, do you want to come forward and ask your question? Thank you. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello. Yeah. Andy Osborne, Swindon Wiltshire Residents Association. Just basically a follow-up from the last question that we asked a couple of months ago, because we've had no response from Councillor Kevin Small, who said that he would get back to us. This is regarding the recent court case against Cheltenham Borough Council from the High Court of Appeal, which ruled that when looking at approving radio frequency emitting infrastructure such as 5G near homes, schools and care settings, how is the council going to undertake its duty of care to people that are now classed as vulnerable, such as people with metal implants, AIMD users, and people with special needs near schools and stuff like that? Are there any risk assessments being performed since this ruling in installed areas where this infrastructure has already been installed, and who is responsible, who holds liability and insurance if members of the public are harmed due to radio frequency exposure, particularly those with the vulnerabilities that I've already mentioned? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I apologise. I thought that I answered your question on the night and there was nothing further that needed to be done, so I think there's a bit of confusion there. Apologies on my part. To answer your question, Swindon Borough Council will carry out the same policies and procedures that it has done for a number of years when it comes to this issue, and nothing has changed.
Thank you.
So, how does that answer? That doesn't really answer my question. How are you going to discharge your duty of care since this High Court ruling about these infrastructures that are, as we have seen in Swindon, being put right outside toddlers' places like in Rawton?
Thank you. I think we've got the question. Well,
yeah.
Just so that we keep time. Thank you.
You're not answering the question.
The answer is the Swindon Borough Council takes into consideration all court rulings. The policy that we have dealing with this issue will carry on as the same, subject to anything that we're instructed by the courts, but I believe there's nothing to be done at the present time.
Well, thank you very much. You'll be hearing more from us because this is not going away.
Any members of the public like to ask any questions? Yes. How much time is it? We've got 3 minutes to go.
As the Mayor and Leader of the House have already acknowledged the devastating consequences of the fire at Granwell last night, many councils across the country are giving permission for battery energy storage systems, which are a huge danger to the public, as demonstrated in Kilwin in Scotland in April 2025, where this installation exploded and released toxic gases for miles around. Now, what measures, environmental impact assessments and considerations is Swindon Borough Council putting forward to reject these planning applications in order to protect residents of Swindon, local wildlife and infrastructure? And does anyone in the planning committee have the competency to assess these risks? If not, are you liaising with the fire services to eliminate these risks that the members of the public can refer to?
Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much for the question. Just want to be really clear that the incident last night was not associated with EV charging or any of those things. The explosion was in a printing company. The work that the planning committee do, we have experienced planning officers who go through applications. They are the ones who have the expertise in these matters, and where those decisions, some of those decisions are made directly by them. Some of the decisions, when they come to planning committee, a full report is provided by the officers that takes into account all of those considerations, and the detail is there for members of the planning committee to use when they come to their decisions. Thank you.
Any further members of the public want to ask a question? Yep, I think we've got time for one more.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Reg Bates from the Swindon and Wiltshire Residents Association. This is a very simple, straightforward question. Why does it take over 3 months to just replace a few gas pipes in a relatively short section of road in Devizes Road that is over the scheduled 3 months and won't be completed until the 10th of October, and causing loss of revenue to businesses in the area that probably won't be compensated?
Thank you. I think I get your question.
Also delays in
We're moving on to a
commuter
statement. I think we'll take the question. Thank you. We've got an answer for that. Would you like to switch the microphone off?
I'm happy to answer that one. That's a question you really need to put to Wales and West. So Wales and West have every right to do those works. While we administer the licenses they put through were perfectly fine, and there was no way we could object to it. But in saying that, that pipe that through Devizes Road was laid down in the 1950s, had to be removed and bypassed. I don't think anybody really wants to be living next to a pipe that not only was it put down in the 1950s, but some of the fittings apparently had dates from the 1920s as well. So from a safety point of view, and working with gas, I'd imagine I would prefer it if they took their time and made sure they did everything as safely as possible. As far as the businesses are concerned, working with the council, the events that the businesses had, and also using the outside space for a period of time through the summer holidays, they had a very successful time, and they were very happy with the result of that, to the point where they were suggesting that we should consider pedestrianising Devizes Road, but that's something obviously we can't go ahead with. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got time for a short supplementary. Have you finished?
Yeah, well, it doesn't really solve the problem of heavy traffic already in a very busy area, and all it's doing is
a bit more like a statement. Thank you very much for your question. Are you okay to switch the microphone off? And thank you all very much for coming with your public questions. Thank you. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is numbers to serve on committees, allocation of seats to political groups and appointments to committees. I would draw members' attention to the report set out on pages 27 to 30 of the agenda papers pack. Can I have a mover and a seconder to propose the recommendations, please?
Happy to move as set out. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Brilliant.
Happy to second, Madam Mayor, but with item 2.4, appointment of a Conservative councillor to the Licensing Committee, that will be Councillor Gail Cook. Thank you.
So and there are no other further amendments, is that right? No? So put it to the vote then that this be agreed. All those in favour? Brilliant. Thank you very much. That looks unanimous. Brilliant. So moving on to the next agenda item, which is minutes for confirmation. So I would draw members' attention to the Cabinet Papers minutes on page 31 to 34 on the agenda pack and the accompanying reports and appendices. There are 2 minutes confirmation to consider. Is there a proposer and seconder for minute 31, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and of the Cabinet Chiseldon Neighbourhood Development Plan to be confirmed and adopted, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Put a second.
Cool. Is there any members that wish to speak? No? So then I can put it to the vote then, that minute 34, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 of the Cabinet Chiseldon Neighbourhood Development Plan please be adopted and confirmed. All those in favour, please show. Brilliant. So I declare the vote carried. Thank you. So is there a proposer or seconder for minute 31.2 of the Cabinet Polling Districts and Polling Places Review? That's a bit of a tongue twister. To be confirmed and adopted, please.
Can I move, Madam Mayor, and just put on record my thanks to the Electoral Services team for their work on this, please?
Is there any members that wish to speak? Yes, Mr. Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I quickly comment on this, can I also pay tribute to the emergency services involved in the Groundwell industrial estate explosion? It's not a particularly well-kept secret, but I live in Groundwell West, just across the road, so some of that debris was in my front garden this morning. The council's response, the response from the emergency services has been top rate and excellent. I also want to pay tribute to Mick Bray, who was a friend. May he rest in peace. Just in respect of the proposed change for SEB, I believe that is, the new St Andrews East Ward, Bridlewood and Ashbrake, moving it from Bridlewood School to the Blunsdon Arms. Both Councillor Adams and I have had conversations and communications from the school over the years, and we're aware that this is a big concern of theirs. So we also want to thank the pragmatism of the elections team fundamentally in making that change and taking on board the concerns, but we're generally in agreement with that change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to speak? No. So I put it to the vote then that minute 35.2 of the Cabinet Polling Districts and Polling Places Review be confirmed and adopted. All those in favour? Right, declare that carried. Thank you, everybody. So moving on to the next agenda item, which is motions. There are 6 motions which notice was given. Can I invite Councillor Nadine Watts to move the first motion on Code of Conduct, please?
I would like to move, Madam Mayor.
Is there a seconder for the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Lou. Councillor Watts, would you introduce your motion? You have up to 10 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Chair of the Standards Committee, I am pleased to bring this motion to full Council. The Code of Conduct assists councillors by providing a personal check and balance, setting out the type of conduct that could lead to action being taken against us. It also protects us, the public, other councillors, council officers and the reputation of local government. Everyone in public office should uphold the 7 principles of public life, also known as the Nolan Principles. These are selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty and leadership. Councillors play an integral part in our country's democracy. It is essential that we are held accountable and we behave in accordance with their roles and responsibilities. It's important for local councillors to uphold the Code of Conduct because, firstly, it maintains public trust. As councillors, we are elected representatives and our actions directly affect how the public perceives Swindon Borough Council. By following the Code of Conduct, we can show integrity, honesty and accountability, which helps build and maintain public confidence in the democratic process. Furthermore, it promotes fair and ethical decision-making. Any decisions we take must be made openly, transparently, and without bias or personal gain. This is vital in making sure local services and resources are distributed justly and in the best interests of our community. It also ensures accountability. The Code provides a framework for holding councillors accountable for our behaviour and decisions. If a councillor breaches the Code, there are procedures for investigation and consequences, which all helps promote responsible conduct. Additionally, it protects the reputation of the council. An individual councillor's conduct reflects not only on them, but all councillors and can damage Swindon Borough Council's reputation as a whole. Upholding the Code ensures that the council is seen as professional and trustworthy. The role of councillor should be one that people aspire to. We have individual and collective responsibility to meet these expectations. It's important to maintain high standards and demonstrate good conduct. Furthermore, we should challenge any behaviour which falls below expectations. It also encourages respectful working relationships. The code includes expectations around respect and working with others, including council officers, other councillors, partner organisations and the public. This creates a safe and respectful environment for effective governance. We should be able to undertake the councillor role without being intimidated, abused, bullied or threatened by anyone. This code has been designed to protect our democratic role, encourage good conduct and safeguard the public's trust in local government. Whatever our political views, it is important to treat each other with respect, whether it is in the chamber, at meetings outside the civic, in emails or on social media. This also applies in our interactions with council officers and other organisations. We do not want to bring this council into disrepute. Finally, it supports legal and policy compliance. Local government operates under a legal framework. The Code of Conduct helps ensure councillors comply with laws, policies and regulations, reducing the risk of legal challenges or misconduct. Just by keeping your register of interests up to date, understanding the types of interest and declaring any relevant interest at a meeting, following the code in respect of any gifts and completing your mandatory training are all ways of helping to shape the behaviour that is expected of us. It is an honour to be elected as a councillor, and we should never forget that Swindon residents have put their trust in us to make a difference, represent their views and improve the area in which they live. The fundamental aim of the Code of Conduct is to create and maintain public confidence in the role of councillor and local government. In conclusion, upholding the Code of Conduct is not just about following the rules. It's about serving the community with integrity and ensuring local democracy works effectively and ethically in Swindon. I hope that you all support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gutterpour, do you want to speak now? Or?
Yes, Madam. Madam Mayor, by seconding this Code of Conduct for all councillors sitting here, is more than just a procedural act. It was a moment of deep personal significance and civil responsibility. The new Code of Conduct is the foundation of public trust. It sets the tone on how we, as elected representatives, serve our communities with integrity, fairness and respect. Madam Mayor, since my early days of community involvement, I have always believed in that leadership is not just about making decisions, but it is on how we make them, how we treat others, irrespective of party we represent, and how we uphold the dignity of public service. The new Code of Conduct protects not only councillors, but public, as well as officers, and our democratic process itself. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. So I open up the debate. Is there any members that wish to speak? I mean, it's lovely in cross parties, so I don't feel you have to. But anybody? Oh, yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As a current member of the Standards Committee and as a councillor proud to represent the residents of St Andrews, I'm pleased to support this motion. It might be useful for us to try and understand why changes have been made. Well, whilst the Nolan Principle set out as it was 30 years ago remains as important and relevant today as it has always been, the way in which we, as councillors, communicate with our community has inevitably evolved. The biggest change has been our online presence. The days of receiving letter correspondence is becoming increasingly rare, and so much of the direct correspondence has been either through our councillor email or via community groups and personal social media pages online. Whilst many of us, I am sure, can describe some of the more challenging interactions online, both from public and across the political divide, the way that we respond to such exchanges, I believe, helps to define us as councillors. Do we respond with courtesy and professionalism, or do we allow ourselves to reply in a way that we wouldn't in a more traditional context? I hope that when online, we can represent ourselves in a transparent and professional way, not through unnamed accounts, but in a way that we show ourselves in the best possible light. I want the residents of St Andrews, as well as residents across our town, to know that they have representatives that uphold the highest possible standard of behaviour and takes the role of councillor incredibly seriously. So I welcome this code of conduct in every possible setting, both between ourselves as councillors, when working with our dedicated officers, or engaging with our residents. And I hope that where this fails, individuals are held to account, not vexatiously for political advantage, but because we believe in the principle and the application of the code. I therefore call on all fellow members to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Heenan.
Thank you. Just to say I agree with everything that has just been said by the previous speaker, and I hope that all members live and breathe what has been said in the spirit of it. On Monday, the Labour group approached the Conservatives asking us if we'd like to second this motion. We were very happy to. And as a member of the Standards Committee, the Conservative group offered my name, and it was refused out of hand by the leadership. The Code of Conduct was agreed in May by all councillors with the start date of the 1st of September. And it is sad to say, but we are operating in an ever-increasing toxic environment that never used to exist in this council. Poor behaviour has been normalised and accepted, and this revised Code of Conduct is an opportunity for each member to reflect on their approach and try to improve their behaviour. Now, there are good councillors who are exemplar, and there are also those who show worrying behaviours. And I will now provide a few examples which is backed up by video, emails, messages, and media articles, but I'm not going to name anyone. So during 2025, we have seen swearing in meetings, swearing and trying to undermine another councillor with the public on social media, calling councillors in another party far right simply because they hold a different view, say that decisions are made in private before council agendas are published and they view council meetings as performative. Residents see that as bias and predetermination. Attack a member of the public in the local media. Yes, someone trying to improve their local community opens the local paper to find a negative story without any reply. We've seen a dismissive attitude, belittling and implying that other councillors have nothing to offer. Even now we're having exaggerated laughs. In front of everyone here, we've heard, "You're wasting your time," to a series of giggles. And just in the last 2 weeks, we have seen the ignoring of emails when asked if a meeting is happening and where it is being held. To quote a colleague, cross-party working seems to be randomly for Labour to meet a Tory in the car park and say, "A meeting's about to start, join us." Now, this isn't a breach of the Code of Conduct, but it goes to the heart of fostering an environment of respect, integrity, and high ethical standards. And I could go on. The pattern is clear for everybody to see. Residents can see. And many times, if you speak up and hold a different view, then all too often the default response is to personally attack the messenger instead of showing humility and accountability to do better. No wonder complaints from residents are up. And the kicker of all this is that there are some councillors, Labour councillors, who blame this increase in complaints on this authority on the Leader of the Opposition and myself. You may not like a Tory councillor, but what we say is fact-checked and sourced. Think about that when denials happen. Why? Now, nobody is perfect, and we all have things we can improve, including myself. So vote for this motion, not because you've been told to vote for it, or you intend to pay lip service to it, but because you'll try your best to adhere to it. And if you see behaviour that falls short, what are you all individually going to do about it, or will you be silent?
Thank you. We'll just say if there are issues that need to raise them, I think there's appropriate ways to follow the Code of Conduct and not erase them in this chamber. Councillor Adams.
With what you've just said in mind, I think it's fair to say that given the behaviour of some of the Labour councillors in this chamber, the fact that this motion is being brought forward is a step in the right direction. I could list a string of occasions where, in my opinion, several of them have fallen considerably short of the expectations, especially in the new policy being brought forward, but my colleague has already listed several of these previously just now. So I won't, but I will give an example of one such occasion where it's happened to me. Just last year, in response to concerns I raised with the Coat Water Splash Park, one of the responses I received from a councillor in this room was what many would consider an X-rated image in response. This, in my opinion, fell significantly short of how councillors would be expected to act in public.
Councillor Adams, I think we must stop on these individual cases. People can't respond, and there are places to take this. That's what the Code of Conduct's about. I've kind of just said that,
Okay.
and I think we need to stop. If you want to generally, that's fine, but it's individual cases where people can't respond, and this is not appropriate. That's why we have the Code of Conduct.
Okay, so I'll finish on, I urge everyone in this room to vote in favour of this motion.
Thank you, and please do continue to use it appropriately. Okay, so is there anybody else who would like to speak before I invite Nadine to come back, Councillor Watts to come back? Councillor Watts, do you want to sum up?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to thank councillors for their comments and in particular to thank officers for all their hard work on this new Code of Conduct.
Thank you very much. So can I ask then all those in favour of the Code of Conduct motion? Excellent, that's great, thank you. That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. So then we're moving on to the second motion, welcoming the new jobs in Swindon. Can I invite Councillor Quilly to move the motion?
Yes, I'd like to move the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Have we got an amended motion? Have we got is this the amended motion now? This is what we weren't sure about when we met earlier. Is this, who's seconding the motion now?
I'm seconding the motion.
Okay, thank you. So, Crilly, would you like to speak on your motion? You have 10 minutes.
Yes, please. Today we have the privilege of welcoming a landmark moment to our town. The German defence technology company Stark has chosen Swindon for a major investment, bringing 100 highly skilled jobs right here to our community. This is not just a business deal, it's a vote of confidence in Swindon's potential, our people and our future. It's a result of determined partnership from our own inward investment team to the tireless work of Brillstone MP in his role as the government's defence champion. Together, they've helped secure an opportunity that will ripple through our economy for years to come. We are launching our Skills Swindon strategy, co-produced with business, educators and residents to ensure that local people are ready to seize these new opportunities. This is about matching talent to jobs and ambition to achievement. And how fitting that this investment comes in the year we celebrate 50 years of twinning with Salzgitter in Germany. A reminder that international friendship and economic growth can go hand in hand. This motion is simple: to thank those who made this happen and to commit to welcoming Stark's new employees into the heart of our community. Let's send a clear message. Swindon is open for business, open to talent and ready for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Fernandez, did you want to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you so much. So, I'm glad to second this motion because it marks an important step for Swindon. One that's just about bringing, not just about new jobs, skills, investment in for our residents. The news that 4 drone companies, TechEver, Stark, Munin Dynamic and Flyby, will be opening sites here within the next year is a big achievement. This will create hundreds of new skilled jobs in advanced technology and shows that Swindon is a place where innovation can grow. But growth must include everyone in our community. That's why the Council's Skills Swindon strategy is so very important. It was shaped with business, schools, and residents, and it makes sure local people have the right skills to take up these new opportunities. I also want to thank those who made this possible. Our North Swindon MP Willstone, as a defence champion, helped us secure all these deals, whilst Swindon South MP Heidi Alexander also built strong international partnerships, very timely as we celebrate 50 years of twinning with Salzgitter. Her work on improving rail links with Germany is most important of teamwork bringing real benefits. This motion is about ambitions, as said before. It's asked the policy and performance committees to look into a new way to attract more high-tech investments. Colleagues, this is about more than just 4 companies. It's about jobs, skills, and Swindon's future as a hub of innovation. I am proud to second this motion and encourage you all to support it today. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you okay to switch the microphone off? I've got Councillor Szynkowski and Councillor Sumner. Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to make a really quick point on this motion, which is great. And Will Smith MP, who we all know from this chamber, is an absolute power to himself, force of nature. I just want to make a quick point, not just about the fact that these companies are coming to Swindon, which speaks great things about us as a town, but also what those companies are and where that positions us globally. So I don't know how many of you are still following daily the situation in Ukraine, but all of the strategic advances that the Ukrainians have managed to do against the Russians and their penetration into the Russian energy grid and their military installations has all been through drones, and drones now provide comparatively accessible and much cheaper than an F-16 or whatever way for smaller countries to defend themselves from the increasingly looming aggression of large regional would-be hegemons. And I think it's so important that of all the possible industries that could decide to headquarter themselves in Swindon at this particular point in history, it feels really, I don't know, as the kids say, it hits different that just right now, at the moment we are in history, drones and the technology of the future and the way we're going to protect the international global order is coming to Swindon. And I think that says great things about us too.
Thank you. Councillor Sumner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Swindon is continuing to show that it's an attractive destination for business in all sectors, and congratulations must go to our inward investment team and the work that our North Swindon MP, Will Stone, has put into this. He's very clearly championing a particular sector, and he's achieved a great result as far as that's concerned. So very pleased with those hundreds of jobs which will come to Swindon. In addition to this, Swindon has always been a town which has reinvented itself. It's had disappointments when the railway works closed, when Honda closed, but we've fought back. Swindon is a fantastic strategic location, and it attracts investment over the years. You know, when Honda closed, Panettone came in, and they are building speculatively, but I'm sure that there is interest in those buildings, and that we will bring a range of jobs in all sectors to that site. I'm also immensely proud that we use our MPs, that they work hard, but over the years our former Conservative MPs brought hundreds of millions of pounds worth of investment to Swindon and thousands of jobs, and long may this continue. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Absolutely. Is there any further speakers? I haven't had anybody indicate. No, so Councillor, sorry? Yeah, okay, Councillor Heenan, missed you. Please.
Thank you. It's just a quick one to say that Swindon's unemployment is up 1% in the last 12 months, so any news is supportive to address that gap. The Conservatives do support this motion, and thank you for agreeing to our amendment to make sure that all the new companies are recognised and that there is more that we can do with policy committees to encourage further relocations to occur. Now, the drone industry is on the up, with the Department of Defence, the UK government and NATO investing billions in the technology, especially with potential dual uses, and you'll hear everybody talking of dual uses rather than strictly military uses, mainly because of export controls and various other challenges. Now, the heart is actually around Oxford, and companies in the supply chain cannot find the space or skills. And the company I joined last week took on 12 graduates this week and are looking for a 4th site. There are many other companies in this space looking in the same area and needing support and encouragement to find their locations. We can and should do a lot more to encourage that, and this is why when Honda closed, the council's focus was rightly on intensifying use with Panettone, and assembling drones can appear complex, but it's actually much simpler than putting the wiring into dashboards and cars. So Swindon is actually in the right place with historic skill set in this space. So it's not just about what the leader, the administration, MPs can do, is what can we all do as individual members to go out into the business sector and encourage people to come here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm loving this bigging up Swindon. Fantastic. Councillor Crilly, I think, do you want to come back? I think I haven't seen any other indicators.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you everybody involved in this, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So I'll move the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Fantastic. That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. So then we move on to our third motion, welcoming new children's home for Swindon. Can I invite Councillor Mike Davies to move the third motion?
Yeah, happy to move, Madam Mayor.
And is there a seconder for this motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Davies, can you please introduce your motion? You have up to 10 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am proposing this motion because I want to draw attention to the vital work that has been done by the Children's Services Directorate and this major step that the Council is taking to bolster their work by investing in a new children's home for Swindon. Swindon currently has around 320 children we care for, and this number is expected to stay around this level, so ensuring there is enough provision for this number is key. As of July, around 40% of these children were housed more than 20 miles from Swindon, which is either due to specific requirements, but is also because of a lack of capacity. The fostering team have an ongoing campaign to recruit more foster carers. They are spreading the word online, in print and in person, with members likely to have seen the fostering gazebo at various events over the summer. They're also linked strongly with the Swindon Half Marathon, which is taking place on Sunday, and I'd recommend members heading over to Coatwater at 9 a.m. to cheer on their colleagues or to support the Mayor's charities that councillors are running for. At Children's Scrutiny meeting last week, we also heard about other initiatives having an effect, such as the Mockingbird National Model, which provides effective support to carers, and we heard about a large rise in special guardianship as the next stage on from fostering. There will always be a need, however, for additional spaces beyond fostering in people's homes, and building this capacity within Swindon will mean better outcomes for those children who need this support. The new building will provide 3 places at first, with substantial savings on an annual basis, while having the obvious benefits for the 11 to 18-year-olds of not having to move outside of Swindon, so an increased likelihood of stability for their education. It is this lack of stability in formative years that is the basis for the Council promoting having care experience recognised as the 10th protected characteristic. We've received funding from the Cooperative Councils Innovation Network to work alongside other councils to see how this is best implemented and the effects of doing so. Bringing a protected characteristic in employment provides the legal background for a lot of the awareness-raising work that is the golden thread of this motion. Returning to the financials for a moment, it is worth noting that the proposed savings are based on the standard costs of providing foster placements, whereas costs for specific placements can spiral way beyond this, which is why we are calling on the government to implement a cap on residential placement costs. Charges of up to £26,000 a week, yes, per week, are a symptom of the lack of capacity in the system, leading to the providers being able to charge these hugely inflated amounts for a service that legally needs to be provided. The longer-term solution is to make sure the system has enough capacity, but it seems there is also a need to stop private companies taking advantage of the current situation. Finally, this motion calls for the Council to investigate the cooperative model for the running of the new children's home. Once the home is built, it will be run either by the Council or an external provider, but it would be best not to work with a venture capitalist firm to run this home, as it is immoral for these companies to make excessive profits for money being used to support the most vulnerable children in society. A cooperative model for ownership of the provider, where the staff have a stake in the business, leads to more retention of staff, and staying on longer leads to more stability for the children we are supporting. We want the children to have meaningful and strong relationships with the staff who care for them, not a procession of low-paid employees constantly churning. We are all corporate parents, and giving the children we care for the best possible start in life is vital, and that is why I want you to all support this vital motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Grover, do you wish to speak now or hold back?
I'm happy to speak now, Madam Mayor. Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. £26,000 per child per week. £26,000. When I first heard that value, I was sure it must be a mistake. Maybe it was meant to be £26,000 per year, as even £26,000 per month seems obscene. Maybe the decimal point was wrong and it should have been £2,600 per week. When querying this, I was told there was no mistake and this is on the top end of the scale, and that I need to consider that some children have complex medical needs. Well, you could send a child to Disneyland in Florida in a top hotel with 2 carers for a week, and that child could have an MRI scan every day that they were there, and there would still be several £1,000 left over from this value. There is something seriously wrong with paying to send children across the country to be cared for at these costs. Now, councillors, I know every one of you feels the weight of financial responsibility. We are tasked with making every pound stretch further, with ensuring public money delivers genuine value, and with making the books, with balancing the books under some of the most challenging financial conditions councillors have ever faced. But this is not just about budgets, it's about outcomes. When we send a child miles away, we do not just pay the price in cash, we pay the price in well-being. Those children are uprooted from their schools, their friendships, and often the extended family connections that remain vital to them. At the very moment they most need a sense of belonging, we move them further away from it. What they need is something simpler and far more human, a safe place to stay when everything else feels uncertain to them, a place where they can feel protected, understood and cared for. In short, they need shelter. Shelter not just from another town or city, but here in Swindon, among the communities they already know. By establishing a children's home locally, we can give them that. We can keep them close to their schools, close to their friends, close to the threads of their lives that still matter. And at the same time, we can invest wisely in our own capacity, building services that serve Swindon, creating local jobs, and keeping public money circulating in our own community instead of sending funding placements hundreds of miles away. The financial case is clear, the human case is undeniable, and councillors, the responsibility sits with us. We have the opportunity not only to save money, but to do something far more important, to give our children the stability and protection they deserve. Let us take that first step. Let us make sure that in the near future, when our children need shelter, they can find it here at home in Swindon. I ask you to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody wish to come in? Yes. Oh, Councillor Dixon and then Councillor Chandler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to speak today as Swindon Borough Council takes a decisive step forward in our commitment to children and young people in our care. I'm proud that we can announce our investment of £700,000 to develop the new children's home right here in Swindon, a place that will offer safety, stability and belonging for those who need it most. This is not just a building project, it's a statement of intent. It's about creating a home where children can feel valued, supported and connected to their community. We have around 320 children in our care, and it does concern me that 42% of those are living more than 20 miles away from the borough, far from families, schools, social networks, and that's not acceptable, and today we're starting to change that. Across England, the scale of need is growing. Nearly 84,000 children are in care, and around 400,000 are involved in the social care system at any one time. locally we've made progress on the Ofsted when Ofsted judged our children's services inadequate. Each monitoring visit had showed improvements, but we know that there's more to do and we're not slowing down. This new children's home is a vital part of our children's transformation plan. It will allow more children to stay close to the people and places that matter most to them. It will reduce the emotional disruption for being placed far away, and it will help us deliver care that is not only high quality, but deeply rooted in community. So I want to thank my fellow councillors and our dedicated staff who have worked to bring this vision to life. There's more work to do, but we're on a journey. Our commitment is shaping a future where care is not just a service, it's a promise of hope, dignity and opportunity. There's more to do, and we're on a journey, as I say. To the young people who one day will call this place a home, we see you and we believe in you. We are building this for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chandler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As our group spokesman for children and education, I just want to make it clear that we very much support this motion. Out-of-borough placements are currently one of the single biggest drivers of the council overspend, not just children's services, but the whole council. But this is about far more than just the financial implications, significant though they are. As has been said, we are indeed all corporate parents, and we should all be taking responsibilities for the decision we make in the Chamber and in our committees. Over-reliance on placements more than 20 miles out of Swindon sends a unwanted and unhelpful message to our Ofsted objectives that while care-experienced young people outside of Swindon may be our children, in inverted commas, we're nevertheless acknowledging that our town doesn't have the facilities or services to provide opportunities for them as we would to children who don't have experience of the care system. So I don't think there's more to say. There's a lot of cross-party agreement so far. Do support the motion, and thank you to Councillor Davies and Grover for bringing this forward.
Yep, Leader.
Thank you. Firstly, can I declare an interest? The Co-op Council's Innovation Network is referenced in the motion, and I'm the chair of that organisation. But just wanted to echo the comments from around the chamber. This feels like a really important piece of work, and the thing that really strikes me is it's not often that you get to do something that is really good for the financial health of the borough, but also really important for the people that we serve. Those children who are going to be living in the new children's home that we set up are some of the most vulnerable in the borough, and the fact that we can deliver for them and do it in a way that is better for our budgets feels like a real win-win situation, and I really hope that this home is the first of many. Thank you very much.
Councillor Heenan.
Thank you. Again, it's just a quick one to say the Cabinet agreed to borrow $700,000 to purchase and fit out one 4-bed home, with each child costing between $4,500 and $5,000 in out-of-borough costs. It's a good business case that's been presented to Cabinet. And former Councillor Mary Martin was a keen advocate for this model when she was Cabinet member, and it was great to kind of see it carried through and fulfilled. So we've got nothing but good things to say on this. If anything, the council needs to be more ambitious, because there's only 3, maybe 4 children that we're talking about, and there are lots of big sums involved. Now, the tender process for this new home ends on the 31st of March next year, according to the papers, and we'll be very happy to support cross-party working on how we can accelerate the opening of further homes, so regardless of who's in control next summer, that this good work can continue.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers? Nobody indicating. Councillor Davies, would you like to come back?
No, just to thank all the contributions. Yeah, it's good to have cross-party support for this. It's obviously a very good thing to be doing. Thank you.
Yes, it's going well so far. So is the council content to agree then, welcoming the new children's home for Swindon motion? All those in favour? Brilliant. That carried unanimously. Fantastic. So motion D, protecting Swindon's allotments. Can I invite Councillor Jake Chandler to move the 4th motion, please? Switch it off and on.
As long as councillors are content with me becoming Councillor Vallender. Right. He won't want my words attributed to him, that's the problem. Right, thank you, Madam Mayor. Council does have an opportunity tonight to give badly needed reassurance to plot holders who are increasingly concerned by sell-offs of allotment sites. Approved and encouraged by the government and allowed under Clause 8 of the 1925 Allotment Act. Community allotments are beneficial and should never be for sale. That's the proposition of this motion in a single line. And before we get carried away with conjecture to the contrary, this is a completely reasonable, legal and rational position that the Council is entitled to take. Allotments are more than just about growing fresh food. Healthy food, though important though that is, they put carbon back into our soil, support habitat for hundreds, maybe thousands of species, improve people's mental health, and bring communities together. They're also an integral part of preserving existing natural biodiversity corridors, which is mentioned in the motion. In short, these are rightly designated in both the current iteration of the local plan and the draft local plan as green infrastructure that should be protected. It would also be true to stress that this is community infrastructure as well, a place to relieve stress, learn new skills, share with your plot holder neighbours, and even meet new people. The consensus of post-war Britain was that these sites needed to expand proportionally as the population increased. 80 years later, that has not happened. Selling off sites is a double-edged sword of arrogance, ignoring the historical lessons that drove our ancestors to the fields, such as in wartime, and kicking the ladder steps away from future generations. We also recognise through this motion that these sites are supposed to stand the test of time. They don't need to prove their existence generationally, and they shouldn't be subject to short-term financial pressures, council overspends, borrowing, even from our own government. These don't justify losing these sites forever. As I mentioned earlier, I've been a plot holder myself. I learned what I know about allotments from my grandpa, growing up in Ferndale, going to his allotment just across the road. As a student, I volunteered at community allotments in Birmingham, and on returning to Swindon from uni, I wasted no time getting my own plot. 3 years later, I had to give it up because I moved house, and earlier this year, thanks to a friend of mine, I got back into it. But the truth is, I don't think you ever really lose the passion for it, but this is something that I think anyone who wants the opportunity at doing should have the opportunity to. As the motion states, despite a third of a million plot holders in the UK, demand has massively outstripped supply for years in an increasingly unsustainable fashion. Where our motion relates to the Allotment Act and our commitments as a council, which affect purely council-owned sites, we want to stress that we robustly and unambiguously support protecting privately owned allotment sites in Swindon as well. The council's actions do not exist in a vacuum, and by failing tonight to unambiguously protect its own sites, a clear signal will be sent to the developers of Swindon. There are similarities between the current policy EN3 of the local plan and draft policy CM2 of the draft local plan as it's written. I take issue, however, with the new local plan dropping the reference to biodiversity corridors in reference to infrastructure like allotments, instead opting for terms like climate resilience to align closer with the national planning policy framework. This is not a minor point, it's actually fairly fundamental to planning policy for green spaces. Firstly, the NPPF governs the minimum standards for planning. Local plans can and regularly go beyond the NPPF standard where there is need. As we've seen, this NPPF standard is not robust enough to defend allotments in danger of being sold off by itself. The evidence we have for this, all the allotments that have been sold off in the last year approved by the government in line with this NPPF standard. Second, climate resilience and biodiversity corridors are clearly not the same thing. This should be obvious. The standard of securing climate resilience is open to interpretation. Those of us on the planning committee and familiar with these applications will probably have encountered it most around discussions about ecological offsetting, i.e. one development may remove habitat, trees, water features, etc., but the development could still be considered climate resilient if it meets other conditions, usually with off-site financial contributions for biodiversity net gain. In other words, a flexible policy to enable our green spaces to be developed on, so long as the overall ecological picture is deemed to have been enhanced in some esoteric way. Even if that means turning urban spaces into even more urban spaces for intensified development and losing spaces like allotments altogether.
By contrast, biodiversity corridors are specific measures to safeguard pathways for nature in and around natural urban environments. Biodiversity pathways are the reason why today, at least, you can still enjoy seeing animals like deer, owls, bats, badgers, etc. in the central areas of town. Dropping unique protections in our local plan of these corridors shifts the focus away from safeguarding specific areas of non-coalescence, where development should not happen under the current local plan, to an entirely new standard where that very much can happen, so long as the developer secures the council's necessary approval to mitigate that loss of green space in other ways. In short, Swindon, by doing this, and it basically is relegating its local plan and the value it places on green spaces for no apparent reason. We shouldn't accept a lower standard, a national standard that is, of acceptance for any reason. This endangers our allotments as well as every other example of green infrastructure given in the local plan. Swindon's position becomes precarious when we align ourselves closer to government vernacular, which is used to justify allotment sites, paving the way, literally, for inbuilt development over our green spaces. One of this council's goals is to build a greener Swindon, but the iridescent truth is that green things simply aren't built, they're grown. Nature needs conserving from us, not constructing. Along with the main affirmation of this motion, which is to protect allotments in Swindon, we're also calling for the leader to write to the Secretary of State, who recently replaced Angela Rayner, calling for an immediate moratorium on allotment disposals, and work cross-party to strengthen policy CM2 of the draft local plan by embedding a more robust commitment and prioritising greater integration into new developments. We are also calling for the reinstatement of critical recognition of allotments as biodiversity corridors in Swindon, which is missing from the draft local plan. Tonight I urge you to support this motion and to enshrine in policy our unwavering commitment to the protection and expansion of Swindon's allotments. My final messages to councillors on this, and it's my only pun, so forgive me, but tonight you will definitely reap what you sow. My message to councillors on this: there is not a single legitimate reason, financial, practical, legal or otherwise, that prevent us from stating unambiguously that these sites should be protected for future generations. That does not predetermine future planning applications. It is a binary choice, and failure to support allotment holders tonight through this motion will count you, whether you like it or not, with the very same people trying to erode what precious protections we have for green spaces in Swindon, allotments included. Please give the allotment holders in Swindon a clear message tonight and without caveats. Once gone, these sites will be lost forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chandler. Councillor Courtliff, do you wish to speak now or reserve?
I'll speak now. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank my colleague, Councillor Chandler, for bringing this motion forward. Allotments are a vital resource that provide cheap and accessible leisure facilities as well as health and well-being benefits to every generation across the borough. From the opportunity to grow your own food, make friends amongst the community and simply get out the house and get active. Indeed, when I first moved to Swindon, I had an allotment of my own in Redcliffe Street in Broadbourne, where I loved the chance to grow my own produce, as well as making friends with neighbouring allotment owners, learning about things such as soil management, no-dig gardening and permaculture. But sadly, a house move, job change and starting a family meant that I didn't have the time and had to give it up. But not only do allotments provide individual and community benefits, they're also a vital natural and environmental resource, encouraging wildlife, feeding pollinators and capturing carbon. The thought of permanently losing these essential community assets, to me, is harrowing. On Monday evening this week, there was a Wroughton Parish Council agenda item regarding the well-used and loved allotments in our village. This agenda item was exempt from public scrutiny, meaning I could not stay and hear the debate, but the exemption of items from the public usually involves commercially sensitive information. Given the Wroughton allotments lie adjacent to the controversial and unwanted local plan acres land site, where the council's trying to cram in 300 homes amongst the 1,031 homes it wants to put upon Wroughton, does the administration merely see the Wroughton allotments as an inconvenient obstacle to its damaging house building plans? Are they trying to take them off the parish council and therefore the residents of the Rawton, and sell them off, concrete over them, so they can push ahead with these house building plans. The amendment that you're proposing to move leaves the door open to that. So pull it off the table, vote for this motion, and let my residents know that the existing allotments will not be sold off, altered or disposed of. Or stand up, be honest, and let my residents and every other borough resident here know that their allotments are no longer safe under this administration, because that's what your proposed amendment will do. Please rethink and vote for Councillor Chandler's motion. Let every resident in Swindon know that their allotments are safe.
Thank you. Thank you. I have Councillor Vallander. Anybody else wish to speak?
Madam Mayor, I move an amendment as circulated and published on the Council's website.
I'll take a seconder for that in a minute, but let Councillor Vallander come in.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight, we've got the chance to really dig deep and plant the seeds of a greener, healthier Swindon. This motion's about more than soil, spades and sheds. It's about protecting one of the beating hearts of our communities, our allotments. And I want to thank Councillor Chandler and Councillor Courtland for bringing this motion forward and the passion with which they spoke about their local amenities. And I also want to pay tribute to Councillor Leanne Stevenson of Hayden Wick Parish Council for her efforts to raise this as an issue too, with her petition that she's got running at the moment. Because allotments are not just plots of land. They grow friendships, sow better mental health, and cultivate resilience. They're the places where neighbours have become friends over a cuppa and a courgette, where children learn that carrots don't come from plastic bags in a supermarket, and where biodiversity quite literally takes root. In a time of rising food prices, shrinking green space, and growing waiting lists, this motion is crystal clear. Local authority allotments should not be treated as assets to be sold off to the highest bidder. Once these spaces are paved over, they're gone for good, and no amount of planning gain can replant what was lost. In my ward, we've got a very good provision. The White Hart allotments in Colview for residents of the Stratton parish, and the allotments on Highworth Road in South Marsden, with more to come in the village expansion and Roborough. And this motion is made more important by the fact that we've seen construction now begin in that village expansion, and we're seeing the reserve matters applications for the various plots of Roborough start to come forward. There's one currently in with the planning team that looks at the allotment provision in that village expansion, and we need to be sending a strong message to the developers who are building these houses, building these community facilities, that this is not something we're prepared to compromise on, and these planning obligations must be delivered. And that's why I'm particularly pleased that this motion also asks our planning team to look again at the local plan. Let's make sure allotments are not just protected but grown, especially in our new developments where demand is the highest. A council that values health and well-being must make room for these green lungs. After all, allotments are a key part of our 5-a-day. The 5-a-day benefits of food security, community cohesion, climate action, biodiversity and mental health. Tonight, I'd urge colleagues to squash any doubts and support this motion, ensuring that decades from now, future residents can still enjoy the simple, grounding joy of pulling a muddy parsnip out the soil and saying, I grew this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vallander. Thank you. Councillor Ali, I heard you about the amendment. Do we have a seconder for the amendment?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Ali, do you wish to introduce your amendment? You have 5 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Fellow councillors, I rise to speak to the amendment, motion D, not because I oppose allotments, far from it, but because I oppose the way the Conservative motion cynically uses fear to score political points. We all value our allotments. We all know the benefits they bring to health, well-being, biodiversity, and local communities. That is not in dispute. But what is in dispute is the way the Conservative motion has been drafted and the way it has been promoted to the public. This is a classic example of playing politics with people's fears. The Conservative group are trying to whip up anxiety in Swindon's communities by suggesting that this council is somehow secretly plotting to sell off allotments. That is simply not true. There is no evidence, no proposals, no papers, no reports, nothing that shows allotments are under threat in Swindon. Turning allotments into a clickbait headlines does nothing for community gardening, but it does wonders for Conservatives' fear-mongering. Let's be clear, allotments are already protected by law under 1925 Allotments Act. They cannot be sold or redeveloped without ministerial consent. National planning policy recognizes their importance. The local plan protects them as part of a green infrastructure. The framework is already in place. There is no plan to sell allotments. The Conservative motion trades on panic, not policies. If the Conservative group truly wanted to strengthen allotment provisions, they would bring forward a constructive, evidence-based proposals. How we increase capacity in new developments, how we work with parish councils to put waiting lists, how we maintain plots under plots better and bringing unused sites back into use. Instead, they bring forward a motion written to grab headlines and frighten communities into thinking their allotments are for sale. I've also heard the argument that because this council has sold some assets to balance budgets, allotments could somehow be next in line. Let's be clear, this is a false equivalence. Commercial properties, surplus offices, and non-essential land are in completely different category from statutory allotments. Allotments are protected by statute and cannot be sold without Secretary of State's approval. Suggestion otherwise deliberately blurring the line between routine asset management and protected community land. Apparently, because the council sells empty offices, the next step is bulldozing carrots. That's fear and not fact. Colleagues, residents need reassurance based on fact and law, not speculation designed to generate panic. Let's base our decisions on law, evidence, and community need, and not on speculative, scaremongering stories designed to make headlines. For these reasons, I urge the Council to vote for our amendments instead and focus on practical, non-partisan ways to improve allotment provision across Swindon. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Crilly, do you wish to speak now or reserve your right to speak?
I'd like to reserve my right to speak, Madam Mayor. Thanks.
Okay, I have Councillor Chris Watts indicated so far, and then Councillor Adams, and Councillor Small, and Councillor Milner-Barry. But we'll start with Councillor Chris Watts.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Allotments are quite close to my heart as well. As this never works. As Chair of South Swindon Parish Council for 6 years, we had to look after 14 allotments which were transferred over from the council. Now, I look at this motion and I think what's changed in the Conservative group. If you look at the way that you treated allotments when you were administration, and we're not talking about just recently, I'm going back to a story here in 2011 in the Advertiser. Allotment holders are fed up with plots being left neglected for years, with keen gardeners are forced onto long waiting lists. And these were allotments that weren't full, and they just weren't being administrated properly, and you weren't getting the benefits out of them, and there were people that just couldn't get onto those allotments back in 2011. Move that forward to 2017, when the parish councils were created. The 1925 Act essentially made those allotments had to be transferred over to parish councils, but not just transferred, the freehold was transferred as well. So South Swindon Parish Council, Central Swindon North, West Swindon had, I think it was 25 allotments in total transferred with the freehold. Now those parish councils are getting calls now because of this motion about allotments that got nothing to do with us. And that's where the fear-mongering that Councillor Ali has raised, that people are worried that we are going to be selling allotments that have nothing to do with us. Those are owned freehold by the parish council. But what I would say is when we took those over in 2017, they were derelict. The fences were broken, the roads hadn't been repaired, they were still in the same situation as they were in 2011. There were plots left, not just left empty, but overgrown, so they couldn't be rented out again. The administration of those allotments beforehand, they didn't even know how many people were on there, who was using what allotment at that time. So there was no care and attention put into allotments or any allotments run by the borough council at that time. And I'm glad to say, as a parish council, we invested in those. We fixed the fences, we fixed the roads, we fixed the water butts, and where hardly any of those were working. And then we got those plots ready to the point where, when we got them, they were 25% under-occupied. And within 4 years, not only were those allotments all full, but there's now a waiting list for those allotments, and that's in North Swindon, and that's with us. And believe sorry, I keep saying us. I'm no longer in South Swindon Parish Council, I've got to stop that. With South Swindon Parish Council, there's now a waiting list of about 300 or 400 people looking for allotments. Now, South Swindon Parish Council tried to increase our allotments by taking on the allotments in Badbury Park, and it worked for 18 months to try and get those allotments transferred from the developer. And then right at the last moment, there was political interference where we were then completely ghosted by the developer and weren't allowed to take those allotments on. And then we were told that the managing company was going to take them. Those allotments are still sitting there with nobody on there at all. We actually had a full complement of Badbury Park residents ready to take those over. I believe it was in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. But it was despicable. It was a purely political move because there was certain politicians in that area did not want a Labour-run South Swindon Parish Council having influence in that area. And that's not showing care for allotments. So I'm really glad, Councillor Chandler, that you obviously weren't here around that time, and you seem to have a complete 180 degrees different opinion on allotments. And that's great, but from our point of view, and when I look at this, it makes me quite angry that the way that you neglected them for all those years, and now you seem to come forward with a motion like this, that you're showing that you really care about allotments, and I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And I think what you should also do is go to South Swindon Parish Council and Central Swindon North, and you should apologise to them for the phone calls they're having to take with people that are worried about this motion, the way that you've promoted it.
Thank you. We have Councillor Adams, Councillor Small, Councillor Milner-Barry, and then Councillor Courtliff.
Thank you, Madam. Sorry, I do apologise.
Yeah, Councillor Adams.
Don't worry, Kevin, I'll let you on. Just a quick point, essentially. I mean, Councillor Watt seems to be suggesting that other parties than SBC would be better suited to look after the allotments. I mean, read into that how you will. But it's also worth pointing out that SBC has already sought ministerial approval to sell assets to balance its budget. So the suggestion that this is some sort of barrier to their sale and a reassurance to residents, and something that should reassure residents, is quite frankly a bizarre argument to be making. We've already seen SBC last year, potentially this year, doing exactly that. So again, that's really not a barrier to their sale, so it's an odd argument to try and make. But that's all I've got to say on that.
Thank you, Councillor Small.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm really glad that Councillor Adams went first, because it gives me a chance to correct him on a couple of his errors. And my first thing was suggest that I say to the Conservative group in particular is that you need to learn your local government law before you start making some of your comments and some of your motions. The responsibility for allotments is a third tier authority responsibility, i.e. parish councils. And that's why allotments were transferred to parishes in the urban area, where before there was no parishes when parishes took place in 2017. Now, if there are some parishes that are too small or haven't got the capacity, even though they're large enough to organise allotments, then the borough may be providing. But it is the responsibility of the third authority to deliver parish allotments. And the 1925 Act and Subsequent Acts also confirm that. That Act also confirms that every penny you collect in rent should be spent on the allotments. It cannot be used to prop up other parts of the council's budget. What we've seen from Councillor Watts' evidence, that was not so when it was run previously under the Conservative Swindon Borough Council. We also saw during that time when we're worried about the reaction of the accusations of selling land, the only allotment land that's been sold off in this borough in the last 20 years was by a previous Tory administration. And I go to 2 sites in Rodbourne, for example, Barnfield and Barnfield North were 2 sites that were sold off by the administration. They also wanted to sell off Pickard's large field and Pickard's small field, so Councillor Chandler, you wouldn't have anywhere to do your digging because they would have been sold off if the previous Tory leader of the council had his way. And if there is any rumours about the sale of allotments at the present time, then it must be by non-Labour parish councils. Because I can speak on behalf of the 4 main Labour parish councils now and say none of us have got any intentions of selling off any of our allotment sites. So if we are going to have concerns, it's nothing to do with Labour parishes or a Labour borough council. To answer Councillor Courtliffe's comments, I will give you guarantees now and reassurances now that there will be no net loss of allotment sites in Wroughton. I can give you that guarantee now. And there I end, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We have Councillor Milner-Barry, Councillor Courtliff, Councillor Elliott, and then Councillor Heenan. Councillor Milner-Barry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, this kerfuffle all started with an article in the Telegraph on the 2nd of August. It was headed, "Rayner declares war on allotments." It all sounded really shocking. Apparently, Rachel Reeves had changed the rules and councils had new powers to sell off their allotments in order to pay their day-to-day bills. Now, the Telegraph journalist had listed the allotments that were being sold. 2 of them were in Bolsover. On Monday, the 4th of August, Bolsover Town Council released a press statement. They were quite quick off the mark. The Town Council said no allotments are being closed. Actually, it wasn't quite that simple. They went on to clarify that a total of 19 plots were needed for the Bolsover North Strategic Development, which is in their 2020 local plan. Some of the 19 were vacant, and the others were all offered alternative sites. The Town Council added that they've got a surplus of plots and their supply exceeds the benchmark of the National Allotment Society. The Telegraph also listed a site in Storrington in West Sussex. With this one, it all happened in 2023. There was a planning application for the land, the council turned it down, and the developer took them to appeal. His application included a bigger field adjoining the allotment site, where all the allotment holders could have new plots, and there would be more allotment plots there as well. Anyway, he won his appeal, and the planning inspector said that the extra allotments would constitute a significant recreational and social benefit to the local community. There is no war on allotments. Selling them off is a rare event, and it's a very carefully regulated process. But back to the supposed change in the rules. On the 2nd of August, the legal advisor to the Allotment Society was on holiday. When he came back on the 3rd of August, he found to his surprise his inbox was bursting with press inquiries. So he did his research. And then he said, "We've looked and looked. We've tried as hard as we can. We can't find any smoking gun, any statements from the Housing Secretary, any changes to policy, anything like that, anywhere, in every source that we've looked. The rules remain as they were in 216. One last thing, the motion refers to policy CM2 of the local plan. There isn't a policy CM2 in the local plan. I expect it's in the green infrastructure strategy, but it's not in the draft local plan. Madam Mayor, I think the moral of this story is just not to believe everything that you read in the Telegraph, but most of us knew that already. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Courtliff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, Regarding the sale-offs that were referenced, I disagree with it. I'm not going to defend the actions of a Conservative council, just as I wouldn't defend the actions of any other group. Selling off allotments is wrong, full stop. They're there for the community, and that's how they should remain. The key issue with this amendment is the overall net loss. And I'll direct you to the agenda item from Broughton Parish Council's full council meeting on Monday, agenda item 20.1, to receive correspondence from Swindon Borough Council regarding acres land and the potential road access for future development of the site. That is published. Obviously, the conversation which then took place was held behind closed doors. I'm not a Broughton Parish Councillor, so I wasn't privy to that. That's quite clear that that land on Moormead Road is being earmarked for access to the developments as set out in the local plan. Anyone that lives in Broughton knows there's no other access that's possible to access the local plan site. There are 2 single lane roads leading to those fields, and that's it. So this is what's published on Broughton Parish Council. That's the correspondence they've had with Swindon Borough Council. The motion that Councillor Chandler put forward, I'd be happy for that to bind any party, any administration of any party. My duty is to Broughton residents, not the Conservative Party, and I'll put them before anything to do with party politics. But you can see why I'm worried on their behalf that their allotments are going to be developed when that is what is in the public domain from Broughton Parish Council. So no, that's not fear-mongering. That's quite clearly written in black and white to receive correspondence regarding potential road access for future development of the site for the acres land Moormead Road, which is where the allotments lie. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Elliott, and then I've got Councillor Healy and Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, first of all, I fully reject the notion that this is clickbait. Our original motion was a serious desire to protect our allotments following the alarm that most of us felt at recent government decisions to allow disposal of allotment sites. We've recognised that there are social benefits from building community and reducing isolation, as well as the health benefits on working on the land. But, Madam Mayor, there are also financial benefits. Studies from Brighton and Hove have produced a report which says that food grown on their 2,300 allotments reduces the carbon footprint by 1,050 tonnes, or £111 per plot. It reduces healthcare costs of stress, depression and loneliness, and it has a minimum biodiversity value through carbon storage and flood prevention. All these equate to a value of £385,000 per annum and provide locally grown fresh food worth an estimated £1.12 billion a year. For the average allotment holder, however, they offer a peaceful refuge where they can work with the land and share fulfillment coming from letting things grow. Allotments have been part of the landscape for almost 300 years, and the earliest reference I've been able to find is an etching from Birmingham from 1732. Maybe it was the ones that Jake saw when he was at university there. Here in Swindon, they followed from the arrival of the railway, and they've given more than food to the residents. Allotments are a unique community resource which resonate with the council's mission and provide substantial benefits to the borough and its residents, which should never be considered for disposal or replaced by Labour's use of the words no net loss of allotment space, which can't be verified at this moment or possibly protected going forward. I therefore urge all members to reject this revision, this amended motion, which would allow the council to sell off our allotments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Heenan.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I remember helping to set up community-run allotments in Nythe more than 10 years ago, and Labour councillors voted against it. I can even remember some of the people involved with that who are not with us today. I also organised the use of probation service to put up the fences and stake out the plots. And the residents have done so well that they wanted to expand after COVID. There is a growing appetite for allotments across the town. And there remain lots of management company and other community allotments, not parishes, that manage sites. They do not have the legal protections of local authorities. The former Deputy Prime Minister, as much as she would like to be, did agree the sale of 8 allotment sites over the last year, and those councils with exceptional financial support have explicit ability to sell allotments as part of their asset disposal, as published on Gov.uk, and it remains online tonight. We could have said school fields and be clickbait like that, but we didn't. We went to specific things that are concerned, and particularly the passion that Councillor Chandler and Councillor Courtliff have shown. Now, Labour councillors are happy to write to the government asking them to change the rules on how we vote in elections based on a national Brexit poll of 2,000 people who don't live in Swindon. But they won't write to the Labour government requesting stronger national safeguards for allotments. That's what this amendment does. The amendment also removes the commitment that our local authority-owned allotments should not be for sale. With respect to councillors who speak in this chamber, you can promise whatever you like. It doesn't matter. It is the words on the page that we all vote through that will be the test of time, and people will point to in a month, 6 months, 10 years' time and say, that's what was actually agreed. It doesn't matter what you actually said. The amendment also removes the constructive improvements that are being proposed in the draft local plan. So instead, the allotment removes writing to the government and merely says that there is no overall loss of allotment space. This wording is drafted, I assume, because it means that allotments can be built on and allotments could be set up in a completely different area of the town or in a different part of the development. It could be. That is the wording as it's phrased and is proposed under the amendment. And we actually see the same thing for affordable housing. If it's not viable for that site, then financial contributions can be made to put affordable housing elsewhere in the town. Just wait for a canny developer to do a similar kind of activity that says, I will build on that allotment and wider site, and instead of re-providing, as part of your no overall net loss, we'll provide financial contributions to allow another allotment elsewhere in the town to put a water service in, to expand and have more plots, who knows what else. But that is the door that is being opened tonight and in the future. Please vote against the amendment and for the original statement.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner? No? Is there anybody else wanting to speak? Councillor Crilly, do you want to come in now?
No, I think a lot has been said now. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think the final speaker is Councillor Chandler, who moved the original motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Oh, I'm back. Tonight hasn't really gone how I expected it to. I did certainly expect a Labour rejection or an amendment, but I think the tone and tenor of the debate has been rather interesting. If people are fearful, it's certainly not because of stuff that we've put out, and I reject any notion that we should be apologising for campaigning passionately on this issue. It's because the Labour national government has approved these sign-offs, and that is a national concern which is filtering down to plot holders all around the town, all around the country. References to allotments being empty 14 years ago, yeah, I'm very sorry, 14 years ago I was still in school. You can't hold me responsible for that. But as Councillor Courtliff said, we're entitled to take different views to what previous administrations did, previous governments did, before we're even eligible to vote. I think that's a preposterous statement. It's also been an interesting experience listening to some of the bizarre, more embarrassing speeches that suggest people have spoken on this tonight who haven't even read the wording of our motion and made comments about it which are untrue and easily disproved. Madam Mayor, the ghostly spectre of Keir Starmer's speech to the people of Swindon rises its head again. Labour lies, council tax rise. And after Labour promised to build a greener Swindon and protect open spaces, tonight it's Labour lies, allotments demise. Again, I have to thank Labour for being so quick to try and hobble this motion. They've forgotten to amend out a line referencing their government's high-profile sell-offs of allotments recently, a complete and utter national embarrassment. But this took a motion which had a very simple ask. I explained it at the beginning, which was to reassure people who badly needed that reassurance.
This amendment, through its weasel language like net losses, doesn't do anything to allay those concerns. In fact, it does the opposite. It's caveated to such an extent that it guarantees that we will not enshrine that these allotment sites will be protected. It's okay, we'll lose allotment sites, but we may get jammed tomorrow with the promise of unspecified sites and undelivered sites in other areas of town. And when has this Labour Council ever failed to deliver on its promises? Oh wait, let's just ask the next motion about that. We cannot support this. Labour have again shamelessly politicised a motion intended to help residents. They have given the plot holders of Swindon a clear answer tonight, and I suppose I did at least ask them to do that. Unfortunately, that answer is no. After tonight, the message from Labour is clear. Existing allotments will not have that protection from the Council, and by voting for this amendment, they are signalling their openness to sell them off. A vote for this amendment is a vote to sell off Swindon's allotments in the future. I think it's a shameful amendment, and I'll be voting against.
Thank you, Councillor Chandler. We'll now put the amended motion to the vote. All those in favour of
Madam Mayor, under Standing Order 14, I call a recorded vote.
Okay.
Go for it.
We need 10. Cool. Thank you very much. You can sit down. Just give us a minute to get the ducks in order, so to speak.
We're ready. Councillor Daniel Adams.
Against.
Councillor Junab Ali.
Definitely for.
Councillor Rahia Ali. For. Thank you. Councillor Amin. Councillor John Ballman. Councillor Emma Bushell. Councillor Butcher. All right, he's washing his hands. I'll come back to him. Councillor Chandler.
Against.
Councillor Cook. Sorry. Thank you. Councillor Cartliff.
Against.
Councillor Crilly.
For.
Councillor Davies. For. Councillor Diaz. For. Thank you. Councillor Dixon. For. Councillor Elliott.
Against.
Councillor Anna Fernandez. For. Councillor Princia Fernandez. For. Councillor Gardner.
Against.
Councillor Gatterpour.
Against.
Councillor Grant. For. Councillor Grother. For. Councillor Heath. For. Councillor Heenan. Councillor Hopkins.
For.
Madam Mayor. Councillor Howarth. Councillor Llewellyn. Councillor Dr. Matt Lodge.
I'll be abstaining as I haven't been able to view the amendment.
Councillor Manro.
Against.
Councillor Mia.
For.
Councillor Mills. Councillor Milner-Barry. Councillor Nakana.
Thank you.
Councillor Pagado. Councillor Poole. Councillor Robbins. Councillor Sheikh. Councillor Carol Shelley.
For.
Councillor Simon Shelley. Councillor Small. Councillor Smith. Councillor Strinkowski. Councillor Sumner. Councillor Valander. Councillor Venkatesh. Councillor Watts. Chris Watts. Councillor Nadine Watts. Thank you. Councillor Weisinger.
Against.
Councillor Wilson. For. Thank you. I haven't got Councillor Butcher, so. No, he's not here.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, that's 32 for the amendment and 14 against.
Thank you very much. So the amendment now forms the substantive motion. Are there any further amendments? She says, hoping not, but whatever. No, that's cracking. So we will now finish debating and move on to the new amended substantive motion. All those in favour of the now amended substantive motion? All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you, noted. I declare that one carried. Thank you very much, everybody. So moving on to motion E, entertainment venue. Can I ask Councillor Dale-Heenan to move the fifth motion, entertainment venue, please?
Duly moved.
Thank you. And do we have a seconder for said motion, please?
I second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Heenan, will you please introduce your motion? You have up to 10 minutes.
Thank you. We all accept that the Wyvern Theatre is nearing the end of its life. This motion is not about the pros and cons of any future location or plan. It is focused on making a difference for customers and their theatre experience. And I've seen for myself the seats when taking my family to shows recently, like Bing's Birthday. The seats which have black masking tape over rips. The loose wires behind seats that children can and do play with between intervals. The loose taps in the men's toilets hanging off by a metal pipe and are not attached to the sink. Reupholstering some seats is still promised, good, but what about the rest? All the other little things that need to be addressed if the Wyvern is to remain open. Now, talking to customers, the state of the Wyvern is putting people off. And if the new venue business case is using real customer data in its decision, then attendance at the Wyvern today and in the next 12 months could well impact viability. The council continues to subsidise every ticket sold, yet doesn't require proactive maintenance. The tap has been hanging off that pipe in the gents' toilets for more than 6 months. Most certainly longer. It's just accepted. No plumber was called, and that's having spoken to the staff at the show as well. This motion is not political. People may not like what is written or said, but we are keeping to the facts as required by officers, and we've sourced it. Last summer, a public commitment was made for a new entertainment venue which will be open next year. The thought was it will be open before the Oasis. Probably true. A decision on the entertainment venue is not scheduled to occur in the next 12 months on any council agenda or forward plan. And there is no money available from the council to fund any new venue. And there's been no significant repairs to the Wyvern Theatre in the last 2 years, so there is a long list of work to complete. And this debate is very simple. Full council is debating whether Cabinet should consider the full business case and have a viable plan for a new entertainment centre by March. 6 months away. And this is 6 months on top of the year which is already passed. Perfectly reasonable, and this is not a gotcha. The budget for next year is agreed in February, and any plan for a new venue opening in 2026 should be considered. Or, if we're not confident, measures should be included to repair the Wyvern. 5 months is again a perfectly reasonable time frame to allow for a fully worked up solution. If plans are approved, great, get cracking, but no one should pretend that it will be open next year. If you still think there is, then you're misleading yourself and misleading the public. There remains no agreed plan, no funding, no procurement, no planning permission for a venue in the town centre other than the Wyvern Theatre. If there is real confidence that a new entertainment venue can be open next year, or within 2 years, which is what we're saying to be fair to everybody, agree to report within 6 months. Manage expectations, explain and be open to the public. Customers may understand why money is not being spent on maintaining to a high standard the existing venue, but make that case. However, if you can't do that with confidence within 6 months, then it's perfectly reasonable to ask for an action plan to come together to undertake the necessary refurbishment so that it can keep going for however long it's going to take, whether it's 2 years, 4 years, we don't know because there's no plan yet. And all political parties need to accept that we are looking at a particularly long period of time. And that is all this motion is asking for. Nothing more, nothing less. So remember all those families who will be attending a pantomime soon. They might see the ripped seats covered in black tape, the cabling behind seats, the broken sinks, the tired signage, the neglect. And these are merely examples of the problems that need addressing. It needs a proper look, and this motion is suggesting that that can be covered. So vote for this motion because you want to see interim progress in a constructive, open and transparent way while we wait for a new venue to open. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan. Thank you. Councillor Adams, do you wish to speak now or reserve your right?
Yeah, I'll speak now, Madam Mayor. I had the great pleasure of taking my daughter, who's 6, to her first dance show earlier on this year. She, as well as I, were filled with excitement in what was her first time on stage. The problem is, though, that this memory has been tainted by the lack of care this council seems to take to look after what we have, in this case, the town's largest theatre venue. Having parked for the show, I crossed the road to be confronted by steps filled with litter, detritus and dangerous paving slabs. As I reached the top, I saw rotting timber and overgrown flower beds, and to my right, as I approached where the old bridge used to be, I was confronted by several tents surrounded by general mess. I looked down at the car park below and was greeted by a view of overflowing commercial bins from the theatre itself, and what I assume must have been a rat running along the wall. I entered the foyer to find a tired-looking entrance hall. I was shown to my seat, and in doing so, passed several damaged seats with loose wires often trailing underneath them, and subject to the sight of a toilet facility that was obviously not maintained in good condition, with parts of it taped off to users. Now, one may just be able to justify not spending money to look after this facility, which is what Labour appear to be doing in this instance, if we had the sight on the horizon of a new facility. But then there we get to the real crux of the problem. There isn't one. We were promised a new facility that would be delivered in 2026. And as sure as we all know that Labour will vote for its next pay rise while cutting services, we know this won't be delivered. So what we're asking for is nothing more than an urgent report on a realistic business case for a new venue, and failing that, a commitment to bring forward investment into the facilities that we do have, to continue to make sure it's usable for the foreseeable future, unlike other facilities like we see in a town like the Oasis. So it's for those reasons I urge you all tonight to vote in favour of this motion, and I look forward to hearing everyone else's views.
Thank you. I open up the debate for any other members that wish to speak. Councillor Small.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Labour group will not be supporting this motion tonight. And to put it clear, we will not be rushed into the theatre decisions by the Conservative group, who see elections in the horizon and trying to make an election issue and trying to get onto something which is a good news story to claim that they're involved. There are delays in the progress. I'm one of the most disappointed ones in that fact. We did look at, during the process of various options for the location, and that was one of the delaying factors, which would have been... Sorry, someone waving me in the back, sorry. Would have been one of the cases for making it a more viable and cheaper option, possibly, than where the location we have been looking at. But the thing is that, as I said, we have to get this right and we have to deliver. Now, we all know and we accept that the Wyvern is past its best. We all know that the Wyvern isn't big enough for what the people of Swindon want, and if we are going to provide the best entertainment venue for the people of Swindon. And that's why our new vision for a new entertainment venue in the centre of the town is the appropriate one, and we are working on delivering that for the people of Swindon. What we will do also is ensure that, if need be, if there is an extension, but I'm hoping that there will not be the need for the extension, that the necessary work, if it needs to be done, and emergency work will be done to the Wyvern. But we should not be held responsible for the neglect and decline in the Wyvern which took place under the previous Conservative administration. Because when they pick the fact about the tapes on seats, well, the tapes on seats doesn't have actually 2024 onwards stamped on them. It's probably got 2018 onwards stamped on some of them. If it is got to over the 2024, it's based on the fact it's replacing a tape that probably had 2015 already stamped on them. So don't tell us about investing repairs to the Wyvern when it comes to when they themselves done nothing to invest to support the infrastructure of the Wyvern over their period in office, or the latter part. Now, we all know that the Conservatives did put forward a proposal for funding or grant funding for a new entertainment venue, which failed. And the reason that it failed, because they didn't take it seriously enough. When you are looking to make a bid, the people that are providing the money want to be able to see a commitment from the local authority that you are serious about this proposition. Just putting into the proposal the land value and saying this is our contribution, we are providing the land, is not a significant signal that you are making a tremendous commitment on towards to succeed in this project. The other thing that would be added, and my colleague Councillor Strangowski has made a great contribution to, has been improving the relationships that we have between ourselves and the Arts Council. Again, that will help us nurture funding and additional support to deliver a new theatre. There's the opportunities for any runner of the facilities to make a contribution. All those things have to be gone into before we come up with the final business case, which can be presented to Cabinet. That will take time, but it will not take forever. And we will bring it to Cabinet when we're ready. And when it needs to go onto the forward plan, it will go onto the forward plan in due time so it can go to the appropriate Cabinet meeting. We will not be rushed by the Conservative group who are trying to score some electional points or say, look at us, aren't we doing well? We're now involved with the theatre, something we'd never achieved when we were in administration.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Strangowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to just take a minute to say that I found it really unpleasant, frankly, to listen to all the bad-mouthing of the Wyvern. Our partners at the Wyvern are doing an amazing job. Not only is there a showing of Evita on, there you go, but they have a consistently packed program. They are never short of visitors, and the only thing that they could wish for is to be bigger so that they could accommodate the large audiences that Swindon can provide. And they also play a really, really important role in the cultural life of the town. And if there's, if their building after 20 years of neglect does not look as spruce as it could, then that is not their fault. However, having said that, the building does look a lot better because it now has an art exhibition inside of it by Swindon Open Studios, and it has murals all around the perimeter of it and on Theatre Square by Paintfest and Artsite. And these are all Swindon organizations, voluntary organizations, charities, people who have come together to make this town better. And I just find it really graceless to be attacking them when actually what you're trying to do is attack us. And the thing that you're trying to attack us on is equally, I don't know, tasteless in my view, because it's well known that in project management, there's a project management triangle, and one side of it is cost, one side of it is quality, and one side of it is time. You can have things cheaply and quickly, but not done well, or you can have things done well and quickly, but not cheaply, and so on and so forth. What this motion is trying to do is it's trying to force our hand into committing that we will do something both quickly and cheaply. So what the Conservatives are trying to get us to do is to commit to low quality. That is the reality. There is no point shaking my head at me. That does not change how the actual physical world operates. There's no point you shaking your head at me either. Anybody else?
Don't raise.
Okay. That is how the real world operates. We have, as Councillor Small said, we have orders of magnitude more opportunities to attract funding into this town. We have already attracted significant interest from national theatre operators into this town. The fact that we are taking a minute to make sure that we do that responsibly and don't just come out with an airy-fairy plan that's going to cost $250 million that nobody wants to give us, that is not to the detriment of this administration. It means that we are taking Swindon's cultural scene and Swindon's cultural legacy seriously.
Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think while we're all discussing the projects and what will be decided upon and not wanting to rush that, I think it's less to do with project management but more to do with facilities management. I hope that the administration do take on board the constructive criticism over the items that have been raised, things like the seats, things like the plumbing. And I think beyond just the Wyvern, I find it somewhat funny. We're sat here in partial darkness because there are 4 lights here that can't be turned on because I've been told this afternoon that they've been blown. I'd very much appreciate that facilities management
does get the attention it deserves, and the assets of the council are looked after to the standard that they should be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I haven't had any other further indicators to speak, so Councillor Heenan, did you want to come back?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For the first time, we have an admission that the entertainment venue is delayed, so thank you, Councillor Small. It's just a shame you didn't talk to the motion of the debate. But apparently it's always the Tories' fault, no matter how long you have been running this town. It is not bad-mouthing anyone to recognise there are issues. They need to be highlighted and called out. Nor has there anything been said about the shows which are run and run well. I think we need to reflect on the code of conduct debate that we've had earlier tonight. We've all just heard another councillor say and attack the Tories and apparently say that we are attacking theatre performers through this motion. It is outrageous, and it is continually accepted. Labour councillors see Conservative councillors asking Cabinet to consider a viable plan for the entertainment venue within 6 months, and if that is not possible, then carry out short-term repairs to the Wyvern. Apparently that is a negative, and we have seen the public attacks in response to this and the derogatory comments that have been made. Councillor Gardner is absolutely right. This is facilities management. It is not project management or the pros and cons of the site and all the things that we kind of talked about at the start. And that's what this motion is negating. And the Constitution is the rules that we need to follow as councillors and should not be ignored, however inconvenient they are. Under Standing Order 6.7, the amendment should be excluded because amendments shall not have the effect of negating the motion for
We don't have an amendment. There haven't been an amendment.
I'm going through my speech now, thank you.
Okay. Just for the record, we haven't had an amendment.
Madam Mayor, if I can continue, please.
Sorry?
If I can continue, please.
But please don't speak to an amendment that hasn't been made. Is that okay?
You aren't moving an amendment?
No, the amendment. There's been no amendment.
Huh? Fine. In that case, I will send my apologies then, because I was still under the impression that we were going through for the amendment.
Nobody's amended anything.
That's fine.
Not this motion.
If I can finish then. This is what I all believe will happen. This motion will be rejected. We've had confirmation there's no current money available for a venue and no timescale will be committed to. Whomever is in control next summer will look at the Wyvern operator contract ending in 2027 and decide to confirm the 2-year extension that is available. 2029 will then become the target opening date, not 2026. And the Wyvern Theatre will not see the necessary repairs to keep it open in a good customer experience position. It will continue to decline over the next 4 years until a new venue is open. So vote for this motion to see a viable plan within 6 months. And if not, that's the key thing, if not, then we should move forward with repairs and a good focus on facilities to the Wyvern Theatre so we can keep the lights on for those shows and customers have a good experience until the year the new venue is opened.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan. Thank you. So is the council content to agree the motion entertainment venue? All those in favour, please show. Thank you. All those against? Any abstentions? I declare the vote lost. Thank you. Motion F, violence against women and girls. Can I invite Councillor Nakana to move the last motion, violence against women and girls, please?
Thank you. I would like to move it.
Thank you. And do we have a seconder?
I second, Madam Mayor.
Is that Councillor Grant? Okay, Councillor, do you want to move your motion? You've got 10 minutes.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm delighted to be proposing this motion on a subject that is important to me and should be to all of us. We all know that more needs to be done to make women aware of how to spot the red flags in their relationship. Often women are unable to recognize the sign of abuse and become victims of domestic violence and abandonment. While violence against women and girls impacts all women and girls, Black and minoritized women, migrant women, deaf and disabled women, LGBT survivors, and others facing multiple forms of discrimination have generally less avenues to support safely and justice and less opportunities to access them. Migrant women Indians in particular often face unique challenges when it comes to reporting abuse and accessing support. They may have limited knowledge of the legal system, language barriers, and cultures outside of their own. Domestic abuse may be underreported in these communities due to stigma, fear of family dishonor, or lack of knowledge about available resources. A domestic abuse campaign, which engaged with British Asian Indian women, was recently launched in Leicester to encourage people to recognize the sign of abuse and coercive control. The campaign aims to improve understanding in the Asian Indian community of the definition of domestic abuse, including psychological abuse and coercive, and increase of amount of British Asian Indian women accessing support locally for domestic abuse and becoming free from abuse. It aims to alert people to the kind of abuse that may not be as well known as other forms of individual and societal definitions of abuse vary in different cultures. These can include having your passport withheld from you, confirming your use of internet, confining your use of internet, not allowing access to education, limiting or controlling your food, and having someone control your finances or not letting you work outside the home can all be form of abuse. I would like to see this council working with the police and other agencies doing more to reach out to women who may not be able to speak or read English and who may be isolated and not recognize themselves as victims of abuse. This includes paying particular attention to solutions that meets the needs of women facing multiple and intersecting layers of inequalities, raising awareness about domestic violence, its signs, and the available support systems. This helps reduce the stigma and silence around the issue, and so empowering women to seek the help that they need and are entitled to. The message needs to be, you are not alone, and if we in Swindon get it right for marginalized and minority women, then we will be getting it right for everyone. Thank you, and I would like everyone to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. For the benefit of the minutes, can I just clarify this is the amended motion?
That's what I was going to ask.
We want to make sure we're on the amended motion. This is the amended motion, isn't it? Yes? Thank you. Councillor Grant, did you want to come in or do you want to reserve your right?
Well, speak now, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to thank Councillors Nukana and Cook and the Conservative group as a whole for agreeing to the motion that is, the amended motion that is before us tonight. As that motion says, domestic abuse, violence against women and girls is, in the words of the government, and now a national emergency, and there is it is rising seriously. Incidents of both are rising seriously year on year. So the reason that this particular amendment has come before you tonight is that myself and I think most people felt that this issue was so serious that it needs a deeper discussion within council than a one-off debate on a motion would deliver. And that's why I think we need a working party, cross-party working group to do a deep dive into the issues around violence against women and girls and domestic violence in Swindon. And the responsibility of the working group will be to liaise with those bodies, both as Councillor Nukana says, a number contained in the motion, but other bodies as well, because there are an enormous amount of work goes on. Just because it was an amended motion, it was quite quickly written, if I can put it like that. And one of the things I've left off the council, the housing department, for example, has its own domestic violence or domestic abuse policy, and we need to tap into that, and we need to look at how effective that is, as well as all those other bodies. And we need to cover all those issues that were contained in the original motion, but we also possibly we need to look at the wider issues that were covered not in the original motion that we may find if this working party is effective. And I'm hoping it will be effective, and I'm hoping that the result of the working party's work will be that we bring back concrete proposals that Swindon Borough Council can implement, because this is about us helping and supporting the survivors. So it's about what proposals that we can raise for the council to implement, and that we want to bring the working party should want to bring those back to this council for an approval, hopefully in a relatively short space of time, but that's all to be discussed, I think, between the groups and the working party itself. But I am really pleased that we've got the chance here to have the wider conversation about domestic abuse and violence against women and girls, and I'm very pleased that the Conservative group and the Labour group have come together on this, and I hope that, as Councillor Nucala says, we can all vote for it. Thank you.
Anybody wish opening up the debate? Yes.
Oh, it's not working. How safe do we feel walking around in Swindon, especially at night? Well, I certainly don't feel safe. I wouldn't dream of walking in the centre of Swindon late at night. Even in the daytime, I feel a little bit feeling that it's an unpleasant experience. I think that everyone should not live in fear of intimidation, and factors in the town centre like poor lighting, a lack of surveillance, and poorly maintained public spaces make women feel very vulnerable. We should all feel safe, not constantly in fear of being attacked, always looking over your shoulder when you hear footsteps coming up behind you. Women should feel safe and protected in any situation. We've had enough of the real statistics that portray us as victims of domestic and verbal and sexual abuse. It must end here in Swindon, and we have councillors that can work together to make it end. Let's make this town we love safe and secure for everyone. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Any further speakers? Councillor Robbins.
Thank you very much. Earlier this month, I was lucky in my role with the CCIN to launch their policy lab, which was all about violence against women and girls. Swindon was one of the contributing councils to it. The work was led by Trafford Council, along with Newcastle Council and Stevenage Council, and the Greater Manchester Combined Authority area. It's a really impressive piece of work. Hopefully I can get a copy of the Policy Lab report to all of you. I'll make sure that you get a copy. But one of the things that calls for is an event to be held in Swindon. It's a regional event, so we'll be inviting people from local authorities all around the region to it. And the idea behind that is to share some of those strategies and tactics for dealing with violence against women and girls, and hopefully that will be a really positive opportunity for us to get best practice from other areas, but also to be able to implement some of those practices to make sure that we can make a concrete effort here in Swindon. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further speakers? No. Councillor Nucala, did you want to bring it in?
Just would like to thank all the councillors for supporting this, and definitely the cross-party ones always work better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So is the council content to agree the motion violence against women and girls? All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Any against? Well, it was unanimous, so that's cool. Thank you very much. I declare the vote carried. Moving on then to the next agenda item, which is minutes of council bodies. I would draw your attention, members, to the separate council minute book and note all the page numbers that referred to that. Oh, have I dropped? I missed a page. Scrap that. Going back a bit. Where have I? Where? Oh, yeah. We've got the minutes of cabinet first, you see. Moving on, we've got the minutes of cabinet. Can I invite the leader to move the minutes of the cabinet meetings held on the 9th of July and the 10th of September as set out on pages 35 to 60 of the agenda pack, please?
Happy to move as tabled, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Brilliant. If anybody wants to make a question, please indicate now. If not, I will take them on block. Brilliant. So we will note the minutes of the cabinet meetings held on the 9th of July and the 10th of September. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. I declare that carried. Now we are double checking where we're going. Now we're on the minutes of council bodies. See, we're racing through. So I'd draw your attention again to the separate council minute book and note all the page numbers that refer to. So, Councillor Quilly, will you please present the minutes of the meeting of the Audit Committee as tabled?
I've presented, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Heenan, will you please present the minutes of the Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee as tabled?
As tabled.
Thank you. Councillor Stanker-Wilson, will you please present the minutes of the Children's and Adults Overview and Scrutiny Committee as tabled?
As tabled.
Thank you. I've got to do a vote there or not? No. I've lost my page. Councillor Amin. Brilliant. Will you present the minutes of the meeting of the Policy Performance Committee, Build a Fairer Swindon, as tabled, please?
As tabled, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Junab Ali, will you please present the minutes of the meeting of the Policy and Performance Committee, Build a Better Swindon, as tabled?
As tabled, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hopkins, will you please present the minutes of the Policy and Performance Committee, Build a Greener Swindon, as tabled? Deputy Mayor.
As tabled, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I think we've got your pages in order now. Councillor Carol Shelley, will you please present the minutes of the meeting of the Planning Committee as tabled?
As tabled, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor John Borman, will you please present the minutes of the Licensing Committee and Licensing Subcommittee as tabled? Thank you. Councillor Robbins, will you please present the minutes of the meeting of the Chief Officer Appointment Subcommittee as tabled?
As tabled, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Milner-Barry, will you please present the minutes of the meeting of the Education, Transport and Appeals Subcommittee as tabled? Thank you. Councillor Diaz, will you please present the minutes of the Standing Advisory Council on Religious Education as tabled? Thank you. And Councillor Davis, will you please present the minutes of the meeting of the Schools Forum as tabled?
As tabled.
Thank you. Moving on then to the final agenda item, which is Councillors' question times. I will now invite the Chief Legal Officer to report on the Standing Order 15 questions that have been received.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Standing Order 15 questions have been received from the following: Councillor Elliott, Councillor Vellender, Councillor Gatapor and Councillor Heenan.
Thank you very much. They've all been published in the supplementary pack, which I think we all have access to. Councillor Elliott, do you have any supplementary questions in respect of the country parks?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to thank the Cabinet member for her response.
Thank you. And do you have a supplementary question in respect of the Corn Exchange?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. And again, thank the Cabinet member for her response, and I look forward to hearing of the suitable scheme coming forward in due course.
Thank you very much. Councillor Vallender, do you have a supplementary question in respect of Ask for Angela?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, just a very short one. I'll set off Syria, I think, there. I just like to thank the Cabinet member for his response, and I completely understand his points around potentially acting beyond sort of the legal power as a local authority. But would you be willing to commit to taking this forward to that cross-party working group, looking at putting that into the pool of model conditions for future consideration?
Yeah, absolutely. That is part of what the working group, and you, myself, you and the chair of licensing had a conversation in the corridor before this meeting. I'm sure the chair of licensing is very positive in this. So I think if we mesh all that together, I think we'll get a positive outcome at the end of the working party.
Thank you. And Councillor Vallender, do you have a supplementary regard to Thames Water question?
No, I only say thank you to the leader for the response, and I'm glad to see that action is being taken on them as they continue to fail the residents of Swindon. So, thank you.
Thank you. And back to you about the bus boulevard. Any supplementary questions?
No, only say thank you to the Cabinet member for the response, and I hope to hear more on that soon.
Thank you. And Councillor Gatapur, do you have any supplementary on regard to clutter on pavement?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, actually, I would like to get a written update on when the next report is presented to the Build a Fairer Swindon Committee. I would like to get a written statement.
What? You want the date for the next meeting, sorry? Okay, that report will be available for all councillors.
All right, okay, thank you.
Cheers.
Oh, do you have a supplementary question in regard to funding of schools?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank the Cabinet Member for the response. My supplementary would really be directed at the Cabinet Member for Education, as this reflects the fact that I've got residents living in Redlands Grove who've now been there for 2 years, no prospect of a school, and a critical mass of new developments in the New Eastern Villages opening next summer, all of whom will have no school. So really it would be to ask the Cabinet Member for Education about Plan B.
On behalf of Councillor Sheikh, I'll try and take the question. I share your concerns about the school. It would very much please me if we could get a decision out of it, and I will do my best to have a conversation with the Secretary of State. Hopefully she'll want my vote in the Deputy Leader election, so I've got a decent chance of getting a chat with her, and I will look forward to trying to get an answer for you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Heenan, do you have a supplementary question with respect to the budget questions?
Thank you for the answers. I only have one supplementary, which is, please can the Cabinet Member provide details of what the £10 million loan from Birmingham Council and £3 million from Kingston upon Hill Council was spent on, because 14 days and 33 days is a very short period of time. Was it just cash flow, or was there something else?
It's always cash flow. It's as you know from your time in administration, that you have dips in your cash, and you've got bills to pay, which are just general bills. It's always part of the Treasury Management Report, which goes to both audit and to the Cabinet, and there's also an annual report to Council as well on that area. So all our loans are based on cash flow requirements at the time that we need to pay particular bills, but it can be from something like paying the electricity bill to something more, you know, the next payment on a capital project was due, so it's cash flow.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think that's the last of the stuff to do. So I declare the meeting closed and wish you all a safe journey home, and we'll do it all again in November.